The iHeartRadio app, commercial free. Just search The Nick Y Show. Make it a preset on the app. And we kick off the show every day at noon right here on 95.7 WDAE and AM 620. Thank you so much for always being part of it. A massive trade just happened in the NFL right before we talked to Todd Golden, the head coach of the Florida Gators basketball team. He was in town today, obviously promoting their first game of the season against the Hurricanes, which is going to be at Benchmark International Arena. I did have the details a little bit wrong of the trade. It is Jared Verse in a first-round pick, and then they are still working out the later picks. But essentially, Jared Verse...
Chandler Simpson on my mind. Jared Verse and a first-round pick. Plus, like you said, other picks are being negotiated right now.
Correct. You're trying to throw Chandler Simpson in the trade, too. That would be the craziest move the Rays ever did. Traded a player to help the Buccaneers get a player.
I was going to say, if that's what it takes.
I look, that's the one thing they have never done, but we wouldn't be shocked. We'd be like, oh, the Rays got rid of Chandler, so the Buccaneers could get Myles Garrett. So if you think you're having a bad day, think about Jared Verse. My guy wakes up in L.A. Rams, Super Bowl favorite, to the Browns. You go from Matthew Stafford to Shedeur Sanders or Deshaun Watson, whatever. Take your pick. Not great. That's rough for him. But I guess the Tampa Bay version of this trade, there's a lot of people are upset on the text line right now. Oh, Jason Light's a horrible general manager. Here's the thing. The Browns clearly wanted a player that they didn't want just picks. They wanted a player that could contribute to their defense this year because the Browns do have a really good defense. Let's not forget they had a top 10 defense last year. They were really good. And they expect to be good on defense this year. They got a lot of young talent, especially on the defensive line. And so Jared Verse obviously isn't Myles Garrett, but he's got a lot more longevity and gas in the tank, so it makes sense. But you have the first-round pick here in Tampa Bay. You don't have the Jared Verse type player to send. Like, you don't. I can't think of a better trade offer that you have that the Browns just gave. And I don't think you are in the same position as the Rams. I think it's so easy when a team makes a trade to go, oh, why couldn't we offer that? Because we're not in that position. The Rams are literally the Super Bowl favorites. When your Super Bowl window is open, you go for it. That's what they're doing. I don't know if I count the Bucs in a Super Bowl window. They're a long shot. I wouldn't necessarily say they're in their window. They're kind of in a weird spot right now. But you're not in the position the Rams are in. You know, I'm trying to think. Reuben Bain, but even then, he doesn't compare to Jared Verse because Jared Verse has proven in the NFL that he's good. So I don't think Reuben Bain in a 1 and some later round picks gets you Myles Garrett. If it does, I'm for it. I don't think that gets the job done.
I think the closest you would come to as a Buccaneer, and again, I could be overstepping, but I think Tristan Wirfs would be
That's too much.
I mean, listen, is Tristan Wirfs better than Jared Verse? Yes, but who else is on par with Jared Verse?
If you were giving up Tristan Wirfs, then it would be just Tristan Wirfs, no draft picks. It'd be Tristan
you'd still
for
have
Myles.
to give up at least later picks.
You're talking about the best offensive tackle against the best edge rusher.
I understand that.
What position's more important? The tackles make more.
Agreed. But I'm just saying, like, who on your roster equals Jared Verse?
Yeah,
that's where I throw out Wirfs. Just
no, I get what you're doing, but I'm saying if you were to trade, if you were going to get Myles Garrett, it would be Wirfs for Garrett straight up. You wouldn't have to add in another first-round pick. Tristan Wirfs is plenty. But that would be a silly trade. I wouldn't like that trade. As much as I like Myles Garrett, I don't want to ruin my offensive line. My quarterback's play depends on it. But, you know, the closest thing, like I said, it's Reuben Bain, a 1, and some later-round picks. I'm for that. I just don't think Reuben Bain's enough because he's never played. It would almost take Yaya Diaby, Kalijah Kancey, a 1 plus some late-round picks.
And I don't even think that will get it done, but yeah.
The text line is saying, what about Vita Vea? I think he's too old. And he's not like super old or anything, but Jared Verse has been in the league for, 2 years? I mean, Jared Verse is on his first contract. Vita Vea is in his 30s, I think. He's 31. And by the time the Super Bowl happens, he'll be 32. The Browns would say no. The Browns are trying to get younger, not older. And Jared Verse is still in his 20s. Jared Verse is 25. He'll be 26 in November. I think it's actually, if you're Cleveland, that's, like, you weren't in your Super Bowl window. Myles Garrett was getting older. You weren't going to win a Super Bowl with him. I think the trade makes sense for them. But if you're going to be upset and kick and scream and Jason Light stinks, come on.
That's too much.
I just texted my dad and my brother the same thing. I said, the Rams suck. My dad's like, why couldn't we make that trade? And he's a Lions fan. And I'm like, because what do we have? Like, what do the Lions have? Every fan is thinking the same. Why couldn't we make that trade? It's not just Tampa Bay. It doesn't matter who the team that you root for. You're wondering, well, we could have made that trade. No, you couldn't, because you don't have Jared Verse. Vita Vea is too old. Again, it'd probably be Yaya Diaby, Kalijah Kancey, a 1 and late round picks. That's a steep price. The Rams, they do not value draft picks. And when they do, they take a player they don't even need.